This is the third online mini lecture covering the outline assignment. At this point, you have written a topic paragraph and a problem statement outlining some of the background and goals of your literature review, as well as some justification as you did with the problem statement. You all, at this point, also have a pretty good handle on the scope of your literature review and the topic. And so now we are using the outline assignment as well as the synthesis assignment to start to organize all those references that you've been reading into an organized structure that will then become your first full draft of your literature review due soon. The goal of the outline is to organize the references of your literature review. What we are looking for this assignment is for you to have included at least 15 of your 25 peer-reviewed primary literature sources in this outline. You should categorize the references into subtopics and begin to summarize findings with whole sentences. And as I mentioned, the organizing and synthesis activity with sticky notes could be helpful in this effort. Many students have found that having a table written out or sticky notes or some way of organizing those references can be helpful in starting to put them together into the full review draft. There are 4 major parts of the outline that we're looking for: the introduction, the methods, the body, and the conclusions. And we'll especially give attention to the introduction and body in this mini lecture, and how the subsections of those and statements of topic that will become your paragraphs should be included. The example that I'm going to give here is from a previous student with a literature review titled Effective Compost Use in Urban Agriculture on Contaminant and Nutrient Availability. So first, let's look at the introduction. So you can see that, this person specifically was interested in the idea that with the rise of urban agriculture, there's this issue of contaminants as well as nutrient availability, because urban soils are often very contaminated with various chemicals or heavy metals. And so this person organized their introduction into 2 major subsections, as well as kind of smaller points that they wanted to be sure to make along the way. So the first subsection was an overview of urban agriculture in the first place. What do people need to understand about urban agriculture to understand the importance of these issues? A lot of this material quite possibly could come from the seeds that you have written with your topic paragraph and your problem statement. So this person had a history and definition, land use, what we do and don't know about how much land is used for urban agriculture, summary of current practices, and then compost as a common fertility practice. And so some basic background, and then this person moves into the concerns. So what are the gaps in research? And this person is kind of writing some notes to themselves of narrowing to contaminants and nutrients, 2 key issues, and then a general background on contaminants and their presence and bioavailability in urban soils. So this is, a very detailed example of how a person is envisioning laying out their introduction of their literature review. We'll go in order here. So the next part is the methods. This person outlined all of the parts of their method paragraph. Most of you already have this written. And the one thing that'll be important is to update as you've been refining your topic. So what are your final search terms? What's the final search engine that you used? What are your final inclusion criteria? You're all learning that you're going to have to scan those references in some way in order to kind of get to the cohesive group of references that you'll actually review for your writing project. And then you'll have to update with the initial references from your search terms as well as the final number of included references. Next is the body of the outline. And here Again, the person has 2 subsections, so we'll definitely be looking for those subsections to show that you are organizing your references appropriately. But then what we also would like for you to do is to actually write whole sentences along with the references that support those sentences, the evidencing of those statements under your major headings of each subsection. So the example here in subsection A, compost nutrient composition influences on nutrient and contaminant availability. There are 3 statements. In some circumstances, compost improves nutrient availability. There's also evidence in other circumstances that compost has a negligible influence on availability. So this person is framing a statement that they might later make about inconsistent results in the field. Some papers that say one thing, others that say something different, and then getting into this idea of contaminant bioavailability. So compost addition can create problems with contaminant bioavailability. This is a natural lead-in to the second major subsection on the physical and chemical characteristics related to contaminant bioavailability in these systems. How compost addition changes the soil characteristics. The second subsection, compost addition by increasing organic matter decreases the concentration of contaminants through a dilution effect. And then as a last subsection, although compost dilutes the concentration of contaminants, the subsequent increase of decomposition with compost addition decreases the bioavailability and biotic uptake of those contaminants. So this is the subsections and these annotated statements of evidence that are supported by references. And then finally, this will just be one line in your outline, but a conclusion. So you need to have that bookmark, if you will, at the end of your outline assignment. And then finally, all of the references included in this outline need to be in a references section, and we're looking again that you have high quality references, that you have consistent formatting of all of those references. In this case, this person had 22 out of their 25 references, but only 15 are required for this assignment. And then finally, I want to point out the rubric and preparation guide. This is also posted on Canvas. So the goal, as I've mentioned, is that you provide an outline of your review of peer-reviewed articles that you plan to incorporate into each section. The outline should be organized with subsections and summarizing sentences of the citations. And the example outlines are posted on Canvas. And then below are the points that you should focus on. So we'll be looking that you have all of these 4 included sections. A majority of the points are given to having subsections in the introduction and the body with a clear flow of information, as well as having at least 2 sentences in each subsection that summarize findings of journal articles. We also want to see that the introduction and body, including the summarizing sections, should include citations as indicated in the example outlines. And then finally, at least 15 citations, again, should be noted in your outline, the majority of which should pertain to the body of review and not the introduction. So that summarizes this assignment. And as with the other mini lectures, we'll have a short quiz to go over some of the finer points of this assignment.